getting ready to make one of my favorite meals, spaghetti with Neapolitan tomato ragu, meatballs, some Italian sausage, sweet sausage, and braciole. The trifecta, pork, veal, and beef, a little basil, pecorino, parmigiano. We have the beautiful Bianco, the Napoli tomatoes from the great pizzeria Bianco. Amazing tomatoes from Robert Di Napoli and Chris Bianco. So we've got onions, garlic, carrots, thyme, parsley. That'll all start the sauce. You see I've got pecorino and Parmesan. Some eggs are going to go into the trifecta, pork, veal, beef, basil, sweet Italian sausage, beef flank for the braciole, the stuffing for the braciole, some breadcrumbs. All right, let's meet our executive producer, Sadie K. Brown. All right, we're going to start with a little olive oil in a rondo, big pan. I'm going to start to sweat my onions. Move it around. We really want low heat. We're not trying to put color on this, right? Garlic goes in. Some nice sliced garlic. I leave it just like that. Move it around. We're moving. So this is going to go a few minutes. Low heat. Keep moving the vegetables. And the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to get some fresh thyme leaves into the pot. We're going to mix that around a little bit. And we're going to sweat some carrots that were shredded finely on a microplane. I like the way they melt into the sauce that way. And we're all in about 15 minutes with the sweating process. And we're going to get our tomatoes in. So we pour in the tomatoes. I zapped them with an immersion blender, but I left them chunky. And that's all that we're going to do. We're not going to do anything at the end. And then I add water to the can so I can get all the remnants of these tomatoes. They're that good. All right, so now we're just going to set on a simmer here. I'm going to move everything around. I want to add a little red wine. That's what we would do in Naples. This is a little different. In Naples, you'd sear off some pork chops and a zampone, a Neapolitan salami, little wine in the sauce, neck bones. You'd be serving all the meat as a second course. So we're going to do our, braciole, which is going to be searing the beef juices into everything. I'm adding some whole onions. I add a little whole carrot, and I like a bouquet garni with fresh, wild oregano, some parsley, some thyme, and some bay leaf, all hard herbs. Now I'm making the meatball sort of sofrito. It's garlic and onion in a lot of olive oil. I add a little bit of thyme and some parsley just at the end, and I'm going to turn the heat off as soon as I just release the flavors of the herbs. I don't want to kill the herbs. And I'm just checking into my sauce. Simmer, let's get the meatball mix with some eggs in. The trifecta's going, pork, veal, beef. Pecorino, Parmesan, salt. Easy with the salt because the cheese is salty. Pepper, I crack it into a tablespoon with another measuring unit to trap it. My meatball sofrito is cooled down. I'm going to add it into the meatball mixture with a little bit of breadcrumb. Breadcrumb's just binding things. I don't like to put a lot of bread in this. I really want to taste the meat. You want to mix it really well. Set it in the fridge so that everything really chills down and you can form good meatballs. This is our mix for our braciole, onions, garlic, anchovy. I'm now adding a little bit of parsley, basil, and just a pinch of oregano. Some people add things like pine nuts. I'm not doing that with this one, but you certainly could. You could add a little raisin, but I don't really like it to be too sweet. I really like the anchovy in there. It's beautiful the way it breaks down. At the end, I'm going to add some breadcrumbs. This is really to bind everything into it really is a stuffing. So touch of lemon zest. And then what I like to do, and that's kind of what it looks like at the end, cool it down. Now let's add a little pecorino and a little Parmesan. Love mixing these two in the meatballs, in the stuffing for the braciole or the braciole. And I like it on a microplane because it's beautiful. It's like snow. Just add it in, fold it, and cool it, fold it in and cool it down before we get ready. A little bit of pepper is always nice in there. Now, our beef flank is on the cutting board. I'm going to spoon in the mixture, which is nice and cool right now. And we're just going to roll it. It's nice a little pepper and salt, very little salt on the inside because there's anchovies in the middle. That's what you're going to taste the anchovy, but it's got good seasoning. And we roll it into a nice cigar. And then I'm going to do two ties here. This is kind of like a slip knot butcher tie on a roast, which is easy. You kind of just flip them around, and there's so many videos on this if you ever want to see. This is like a traditional roast tie, over and under, over and under, over and under. And then I'm going to do another tie for you, which is just simply, and these are all just like square knots, really. I'm not doing a whole lot here. And then that one's done. But then I'm going to do something that I would just kind of, these are the other braciole or bracioles going. You can just take, 4 or 5 pieces of string and wrap them individually around if you don't know how to do a butcher square knot. And that's it. No big deal. We're going to season the outside, definitely with salt and pepper. And I do a little more aggressive seasoning on the outside. And now we want to brown the braciole because we want that meat to hit the tomato sauce. And so I want to brown the meat. I don't want to,
sort of put a heavy crust on it. I just want to get a nice, flavor in there. We add it right into our sauce now. And what we're going to do at the very end, we're going to pour off our oil, and I'm going to add a little red wine, deglaze the pan, scrape all the bits, go into the sauce with that. We're going to wipe the pan out, and now we're going to do the same thing with the Italian sausage, right? This is sweet sausage. I'm not using hot today. I like to do a mix of the two of them, but this is what I got, beautiful sausage from a local butcher here. And what we're going to do is we brown, and you don't have to deglaze with wine every time. Otherwise, the sauce is too winey. I just kind of did that one. A little water in each deglazing. We scrape that pan with the sausage. Now we're going to go in and brown our meatballs, and I weigh them out. They're about 2-ounce portions, and I get a nice pan going with some olive oil. Nothing fancy with the olive oil. It's just like a first pressed, really very plain olive oil. Not a lot of flavor. You don't need that for this. Use canola oil. And I just want to get a nice brown on each side. And when I can't get the sides that I want, I usually tilt the pan and I start to baste it. What you're seeing here is just flour and oil. There's no butter in this, and that's what it looks like when it's a wire rack. These meatballs are rare in the middle. They just have a little bit of a crust, but they were cold when I seared them, and that's exactly what I want. I turn the sauce off now, plunge in a whole big head of basil, and then here I have more parsley, a little bit of oregano, and some thyme that's going to go in. I'm kind of infusing this again with no flame. Meatballs are down, the heat's off. We're going to put a lid on it and let it just carry over 20 minutes. Pasta is working in salted water. I've got my sauce in a rondo to transfer the pasta. And here the braciole and all the meats are in the oven. So, I've got my ragu, nice and warm. I'm just gonna go right here. Ooh. And I'll tell you why I'm doing it. I want some water. The pasta water is very important. It's nice and starchy, it's got good flavor. And depending on what my sauce ratio is, it's going to help tie everything in together. Ooh, wow, a little hot. You could absolutely drain this. That probably makes a little more sense than doing this, but I really kind of enjoy fishing these guys out. So the whole object here is I have more sauce, right? But the pasta's not cooked all the way, but not even close. I want to finish this in the ragu. And I don't ladle the sauce over the pasta. I really want to pull the sauce into the pasta. And you're not going to get that if you just put the pasta in a bowl. So important to do this. And we don't want to overdress the pasta. This is looking nice. And I serve a little extra sauce on the side with, the meatballs and the braciole and the sausage. And you can sauce a little more if you want. But this is really more along the lines of what we want to see. So what I'm going to do at this point is turn the heat off, and then we're going to finish with a little basil and olive oil. So I'm going to take a little more sauce. I got all my meats in here. I have the braciole or the braciole. We have the sausage, we have the meatballs. I want just a little more sauce. I've been warming this up. I think we're really close here. The flavor is very good. I got a little bit of the pasta liquid. I'll take a little bit more, just a little bit, tie everything together. That goes in. Now, basil, whole thing. We go in with a Jean Reno olive oil, naturally from D'Artagnan. Never leave home without it. And that's what we want to do. Copious amounts. Boom. Grab that right there. Now I'm going to mix this. And then I'm going to re-season. We're going to check for seasoning. Nice, shiny, glistening. That olive oil gives it some nice fruitiness. Beautiful. Let's just check for salt. Now, my tomato sauce is aggressively seasoned. I'm going to leave it because I don't know what everybody's salt preference is. Got a lot of pepper in there. And that's the story. All right, let's get it on. Spaghetti's gonna get down on this plate. All the spaghetti on a big plate, and then we're gonna get the meats. The meats are gonna go down on the spaghetti. This is what it looks like pre-meat: sausage, meatballs, braciole, however you know it, however you like to say it. We're gonna stack this platter up with all of this beautiful assorted meat on top of the spaghetti dressed with a Neapolitan ragu, a little extra sauce. Cheese is gonna be at the table, pecorino, parmesan. That's the story. Mangiamo e saluti.